Look at those names. Does Chris Paul fit right in probably the lower half, but the middle-ish of those names? The answer is yes. Can we agree, and I know Nuggets fans are going to get mad at me, if Nikola Jokic wins the MVP, he's the worst player to win the MVP since Dave Cowens.
No.
Let's be honest. That was a national narrative was, hey, the Lakers are fine. They're down 1-0, but they figured something out. No one talked about Nikola just had a historic performance. He's got 13 triple-doubles now, third all-time. What he's doing is just incredible, but the narrative wasn't about the Nuggets. The narrative wasn't about Nikola. The narrative is about the Lakers and their adjustments.
He made the finals all 3 of those MVP years and won 2 of them. I'm not saying he has to do that, but we can't lower the bar for Jokic because we didn't for James Harden early in Houston when he was playing superior teams. We didn't for LeBron early in Cleveland when he was playing superior teams. We didn't for Giannis when he was winning those MVPs, but he didn't break through. We can't do it for Jokic. The bar is at minimum making the NBA Finals. The Denver Nuggets may have been the most disrespected, overlooked first seed that I probably remember. I went back and checked the championship odds before this year's playoffs, and even after all they accomplished during this regular season, Denver, they were ranked around 5th, 6th by most sites' odds. At least for me, going into this year's playoffs, especially in the West, it was extremely tough to make a confident prediction because everything felt wide open. It didn't really feel like it was a crystal clear favorite. The Suns were 8-0 with Book and KD, so out of respect of what that duo could possibly be, they were naturally finals favorites. I even picked them. The Lakers, they were on this 180 season turnaround with the moves they made at the deadline, so out of respect for LeBron and AD, they had to at least be mentioned. The Clippers, even with the playoff concerns with Russ, they still had Kawhi playing incredible basketball heading into the playoffs, so they had to be at least respected. The defending champion Warriors, they were one of the best home teams all year. They had still never lost a series in the West since becoming a dynasty, and we knew if they got in, they're going to at least knock on that championship door. I clearly highly overrated Memphis, but I thought they'd be semi-dangerous in the West, but they just weren't. The team that was actually the best team in the conference all year, definitely in my eyes at least, they were vastly overlooked. And yes, by me as well, I can admit that. I remember when the trade deadline first took place and it completely rocked the NBA world. When KD got traded, I literally didn't sleep. I'll never forget that. But most of the sites that posted winners and losers list, they had Denver as losers. Not because of anything Denver did wrong per se, but the conference they sat on top of had just significantly gotten better. With Kevin Durant coming back to the conference and Kyrie being welcomed to the conference and the moves the Lakers had just made, it looked like, okay, the once looking smooth route to the finals Denver had just got a lot more bumpy. That was the overall perspective at that specific time. I remember in March, and I won't lie, I thought like this too. When the Lakers were making their postseason push, plenty of people thought it's going to be a nightmare of a matchup if Denver happens to see the Lakers in that first round. AD and Vando was this crazy defensive tandem that Jokic just didn't want to see. LeBron is going to have a freeway to the lane because Jokic isn't much of a rim protector. Denver was a below average defensive team all season. So how was they going to stop a LeBron AD pick and roll all series? AD killed this team in the bubble. This was pretty much the sentiment of how this series can possibly play out. And now, with all the narratives out the way, Jokic being this overrated MVP that hasn't done much in the playoffs, the Nuggets being the least scary first seed in a long time, let's take a deeper dive into what really happened. Denver was literally the best team in the conference all season long. Even with their defensive struggles and somewhat of their struggles on the road, they were such a potent machine of an offense and damn near unbeatable at home that it pretty much made up for any concerns that we may have had. With how Nikola Jokic quarterbacks that offense and the pick and roll him and Murray developed, they were the most balanced offense all year. They were top 3 in true shooting percentage. They were the only team that was top 5 in field goal percentage, 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, and assists. They had no players average even a 30% usage rate. In fact, all of them held the ball for around the exact same percentile. They had no one player shoot more than 16 times a night. Their best player, who was insanely efficient, didn't even lead them in field goal attempts. Nikola Jokic was only one of 3 players in the history of the sport to average at least 24 points while shooting under 15 times a game. They had 4 players average over 16 points a night. They had 6 players average at least double figures. And most importantly, they have the most reliable superstar in the entire NBA. When you actually look at the regular season, there were teams that were more dominant than the Denver Nuggets, even in their conference. Look at the top 5 teams as far as point differential. Even as great as Denver was, they're not there. But out of all those teams that's actually ahead of Denver, they all have stars that kind of got exposed in the playoffs. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're talented, but they're not consistent, reliable superstars. Donovan Mitchell, he's shrunk. James Harden and Joel Embiid, they both shrunk. Ja's limitations, they got exposed. Giannis, I love him, but he still struggles to shoot free throws and he got exposed a little bit. All of them got exposed in the playoffs to some extent. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray were simply the most consistent duo during these playoffs, and that's ultimately why they're in the finals. Jamal Murray has scored 25 points or more in 10 out of the 15 playoff games they had. He and Jokic are the only set of teammates to be both top 5 in this category. Throughout the game, they just complement each other so perfectly. Jokic is top 5 in points per game in the first half, and Jamal Murray is top 5 in points per game in the second half. They have 4 starters, all shooting 40% from deep during these playoffs. They were one of the best teams at home all regular season, and in these playoffs, they've still yet to lose at home. During these playoffs, they have 6 players averaging an efficient 12 points a night. They were the most balanced offense in the regular season, and they're the most balanced offense in the playoffs. They're second in true shooting percentage, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, points. They're first in offensive rating, net rating. And let's just be honest, they have the best player in the world. With 15 games played, this man is averaging a triple-double, a 30-point triple-double. He just broke the record for the most triple-doubles in a single playoff run ever, with minimum at least 4 more games to go. There's only been 5 players to average a triple-double in the playoffs. He's doing it by far the most efficiently. He's destroying the league in plus minus. In fact, he's only had 1 game where he was a negative. He's destroying the league in PER. Any narrative that was ever written about this man has proven to be false. This team is, to me, the most disrespected first seed that I can remember, because it's one thing to be disrespected as a first seed and you don't even have a top 10 player like Utah a few years ago, or Atlanta a few years ago, or Boston when they had Isaiah Thomas. It's a whole different level of disrespect to have arguably the best player in the world on your team, literally the reigning back-to-back MVP on your team, be completely healthy and pretty deep, and still not really get recognition as favorites. The last 2 MVP years, Nikola Jokic played on inferior teams because of injuries. As soon as they became whole again, he got his team to the finals. Not only did he get his team to the finals, he went through the 2 teams that got the most recognition for their moves at the deadline, making them so supposedly dangerous. I had my doubts about this team mainly because of the competition, but this team and that guy and that duo, and I even like the coach, is special. If you guys like this video, Anybody complaining about us not getting the Lakers and Celtics, you are just not an NBA fan, bro. Like, if we get Jimmy Butler versus Nikola Jokic, 2 players that's literally been the 2 best players in the playoffs, all playoffs, what do you, I don't understand that. You literally just like entertainment. You don't like basketball. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.